Now, loaning money from the major banks could soon be a bit tougher, with the ANZ set to make borrowers provide extensive details about their spending habits before a loan is approved. Now, if you think, well, no, this already happens, well, have a listen to the kind of things that they're going to be requiring. Under new proposals, which are on track to come into effect by the end of the month, applicants can expect to provide details on all sorts of spending habits, including things like Netflix, babysitting, and even cigarettes and alcohol. Martin North, the property market analyst with Digital Financial Analytics, is on the line. G'day, Martin.
Hello, man.
What do you make of the move from the ANZ?
Well, it's consistent with the other major lenders. They're all really shining a spotlight, particularly on expenses, and most people now have to pony up with a lot more information, a lot more history to be able to be considered for a loan. And remember that about 40% of loan applications now are being rejected simply because that information is not readily available. This is a big change on where we were about a year ago.
It's not unusual for the bank to want to know how much money you earn and probably how much money you've got sitting in your bank account. That gives a signal of how much you spend already, but this is extra detail that some people might not be all that comfortable with sharing.
Yeah, well, it's certainly going into a lot more detail, and in some cases, people may not even know what they're actually spending and how they spend it. You know, there's a thing called the household expenditure measure, which was what the banks used to use as a proxy for not having that full information. But recent examples have shown that may not be relevant and appropriate anymore. So the banks are actually putting a lot more acid back on individual borrowers. And frankly, the problem is if you don't have that information, you won't get a loan.
Well, I think you're pointing to the fact it might be helpful to some people if they actually face facts about how much they are spending on some of these things like cigarettes and alcohol.
Well, quite often people will prefer not to know. But look, less than half of the people in my surveys know what they spend. They don't kick a cash flow. They don't actually know what money's coming in, what's going out. So it's actually good discipline to begin to know, even if it's a bit of a shock. But the other point to make is if you are thinking of getting a loan, you need to build a bit of history. So you need at least 6 months of history before you go and talk to the bank. And that's a completely different scene from where we were a year ago.
Good on you, Martin. Thanks for your time.
Good to talk to you.
Martin North, the property market analyst with Digital Financial Analytics. So are you prepared to add up what you spend on alcohol, what you spend on eating out or home delivery or Netflix or babysitting? Because if you're going for a loan with the ANZ, they might be part of the questions.